There is a silent power within you that has been waiting to be awakened. A power greater than fear, greater than doubt, greater than every obstacle that has tried to stop you. It is the power of decision, of faith, of persistence, of a mind that refuses to drift. And when you awaken this power, nothing in your life will ever be the same. Napoleon Hill devoted his life to proving a simple truth. Success is not reserved for the few. It is available to anyone willing to pay the price. That price is not luck. It is not privilege. It is not even talent. The price is persistence. The price is faith. The price is discipline, definiteness of purpose, and the courage to act again and again until life has no choice but to yield. Most people never rise to this level because they drift. They live by accident instead of by intention. They allow fear to guide their choices, doubt to poison their thoughts, and procrastination to steal their time. They wait for perfect conditions, for permission, for opportunities to simply appear. And in waiting, they waste their lives. But you're not here to drift. You are not here to waste your potential. You are here to awaken the power within you, the power of thought, the power of decision, the power of persistence. You are here to learn how to master your mind so that you can master your destiny. Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Those are not empty words. They're a law. Conceive. Imagine your future with clarity. Believe. Impress that vision upon your subconscious until it becomes unshakable. Achieve. Persist in action until the invisible becomes visible. This is the formula. This is the truth. And if you apply it, your life will transform. But here is what you must understand. Your mind is the battleground. Your thoughts are not harmless. They are forces. Every thought you allow to dominate your mind is a seed planted in your subconscious. And your subconscious does not argue. It accepts, it multiplies, it manifests. Plant fear, and you will reap fear. Plant faith, and you will reap victory. This is why autosuggestion is so powerful. You cannot let your mind run wild with negativity and expect success. You must take control. You must deliberately feed your subconscious with words of faith, images of victory, visions of abundance. You must repeat them daily until your subconscious accepts them as fact. Because once it accepts them, your entire life begins to align with them. But faith without persistence is weak. You must persist. Persist when it is hard. Persist when it is silent. Persist when it is lonely. Persist when nothing seems to be working. Because persistence is the bridge between desire and achievement. It is the proof that you mean what you say. It is the fire that transforms invisible dreams into visible reality. And persistence is born from definiteness of purpose. Without purpose, you will quit. Without purpose, you will drift. Without purpose, you will trade your destiny for comfort. But when your purpose is clear, when your desire is burning, when your faith is unshakable, persistence becomes natural. You endure because you cannot imagine quitting. You persist because your purpose is worth every sacrifice. And in that persistence, you discover power. A power greater than circumstances. A power greater than obstacles. A power greater than the fears that once controlled you. It is the power of the human spirit awakened, the power of faith in action, the power of a mind aligned with its destiny. That is the power within you. And the moment you decide to awaken it, your entire life begins to change. Most people underestimate the power of a single decision. They think change comes slowly, over years, but in reality, transformation begins in a single moment. The moment you decide. Decide to no longer drift. Decide to no longer surrender to fear. Decide to take control of your thoughts, your actions, your life. One decision can shift the entire course of your destiny. Napoleon Hill taught that indecision is one of the devil's greatest weapons. Drifting is the silent killer of dreams. When you fail to decide, life decides for you. When you hesitate, opportunity passes by. When you refuse to commit, your subconscious receives the message that you are not serious. And so it drifts, following fear, habit, and circumstance. But when you decide with definiteness of purpose, everything changes. Decision gives clarity. Decision gives direction. Decision gives strength. The moment you decide, your subconscious mind begins to align with that choice. It starts working day and night to bring resources, people, and opportunities into your path. What once seemed impossible begins to feel inevitable, not because the world changed, but because you changed. Decision is the first act of faith. When you decide, you prove to yourself that you believe. And when you act on that decision, you prove your faith again. Faith, decision, persistence, they form a cycle. Decision ignites faith. Faith fuels persistence. Persistence strengthens faith. And the cycle builds until your desire becomes reality. But here's the truth. Decision alone is not enough. You must persist. You must refuse to waver when the path becomes hard. Many people make decisions in moments of inspiration, but abandon them in moments of difficulty. They confuse excitement for commitment. True decision is proven not when it is easy, but when it is hard. That is why persistence is the master key. It is persistence that separates the ones who quit from the ones who succeed. It is persistence that keeps you moving when motivation is gone. It is persistence that transforms failure into growth, rejection into redirection, defeat into determination. Without persistence, every decision dies. With persistence, every decision lives. Napoleon Hill explained that persistence is strengthened by purpose. When you have a clear why, quitting becomes impossible. Purpose fuels passion. Purpose gives meaning to sacrifice. Purpose transforms struggle into stepping stones. Without purpose, failure feels fatal. With purpose, failure feels like feedback. Without purpose, discipline feels like punishment. With purpose, discipline feels like devotion. This is why you must take the time to define your purpose. What do you want? Why do you want it? Who will it impact? What will your life look like when you achieve it? Write it down. Speak it daily. Let it become your obsession, your burning desire, your guiding star. Because when your purpose is clear, your persistence is unshakable. And this brings us to the truth about fear. Fear is the greatest enemy of decision and persistence. Fear whispers lies. You're not good enough. You'll fail. You'll be judged. It's too late. Fear paralyzes action, poisons faith, and kills destiny. But fear is an illusion. It is faith in reverse. Fear is imagining the worst, just as faith is imagining the best. Both require imagination. The difference is which one you choose to believe. You cannot eliminate fear by waiting. You cannot defeat fear by hiding. The only way to overcome fear is through action. Every time you act in spite of fear, it weakens. Every time you persist, you prove to yourself that fear has no power. And one day, the fear that once felt impossible to face will look small compared to the faith that has grown inside you. Hill showed us that fear is the devil's greatest tool. But he also showed us that definiteness of purpose and persistence are the weapons that defeat it. Fear cannot survive in a mind filled with faith. Fear cannot control a person who persists with discipline. Fear cannot enslave someone who decides to live with purpose. So if you want freedom, decide. If you want power, persist. If you want transformation, choose faith over fear. And when you do, the world will begin to open. Opportunities will appear. Strength will rise. And your destiny will begin to unfold. But you must not stop halfway. Many people begin the journey of faith and persistence, but they quit when results are delayed. They plant seeds, but dig them up before the harvest. They water their dreams for a season, but abandon them in drought. And so they never see the fruit. You cannot be like them. You must persist until the harvest comes. You must believe that every effort is adding up, that every action is moving you forward, that every sacrifice is building momentum. You must trust the law that what you sow, you will reap if you do not quit. Napoleon Hill emphasized that patience is as important as persistence. You must allow time for the law of growth to operate. Just as a seed takes time to sprout, your dreams take time to manifest. The delay is not denial. The waiting is preparation. The struggle is training. And when the time is right, the results will come. So decide, believe, persist, and be patient, because the one who refuses to quit will always, always win. There's a moment in every journey where persistence feels unbearable, a moment where the dream feels distant, the struggle feels endless, and the temptation to quit is stronger than ever. Most people surrender at that moment. They let go of their vision, not realizing they were inches from breakthrough. But the few who persist in that moment, the few who rise when everything says stay down, those are the ones who step into greatness. Napoleon Hill called this principle the turning point of success. Temporary defeat is never final unless you accept it. Every setback carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit, but only those who persist discover it. Those who quit never see the gift hidden in the struggle. Think about the times in your life when you failed. Did the failure destroy you? Or did it teach you something you needed? Did it strengthen your character, sharpen your vision, expose your weaknesses? If you persisted, the failure became fuel. If you surrendered, the failure became your grave. The difference was not in the failure itself, but in your response. Persistence transforms defeat into discovery. Persistence transforms rejection into redirection. Persistence transforms delay into preparation. With persistence, everything that looks like loss becomes gain. Without persistence, even the smallest obstacle becomes fatal. And here is the secret. Persistence is not built in comfort. It is built in struggle. Just as muscles grow under resistance, persistence grows when life resists you. Every time you persist when it would be easier to quit, you grow stronger. Every time you rise after falling, your spirit becomes harder to break. Every time you refuse to drift, your faith becomes deeper. Persistence is a skill, a habit, a character trait, and it is forged in fire. This is why you must not fear failure. You must not despise struggle. You must not curse resistance. They are not enemies. They are teachers. They are shaping you into someone capable of carrying your destiny. Without them, you would not be ready. With them, you are being prepared. Napoleon Hill often said that strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle. And this is the paradox. The very things you wish would disappear, the failures, the obstacles, the delays, are the very things that are building you into someone unstoppable. Without persistence, you would crumble under the weight of success. With persistence, you are strong enough to hold it. But how do you persist when you feel weak? How do you keep moving when everything inside you says stop? The answer is purpose. Purpose is the anchor of persistence. When your purpose is clear, you will endure anything. When your why is strong enough, the how no longer matters. This is why Napoleon Hill placed definiteness of purpose as the first principle of success. Without it, persistence collapses. Without it, faith weakens. Without it, decisions fade. But with a burning purpose, you can face ridicule, rejection, and failure, and still rise again. Purpose gives meaning to pain. Purpose turns sacrifice into joy. Purpose transforms obstacles into opportunities. When you live with purpose, you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, how is this shaping me? How is this preparing me for my calling? And purpose leads to discipline. Discipline is persistence made visible. Discipline is persistence lived out daily in the choices you make. Discipline is choosing faith over fear, action over excuses, growth over comfort. Discipline is the bridge between purpose and power. Most people quit not because they are weak, but because they lack discipline. They allow emotions to rule their actions. They wait to feel like it. But persistence is not about feelings. It is about decisions. Discipline means you act in alignment with your purpose, whether you feel like it or not. And every act of discipline strengthens your persistence. Napoleon Hill taught that willpower and desire, properly combined, make an irresistible force. That force is persistence. It is the daily choice to act in alignment with your vision until it manifests. It is the refusal to drift, the refusal to surrender, the refusal to live small. And here is the reward. Once persistence becomes your habit, quitting is no longer an option. You no longer wonder whether you will succeed. You know it is only a matter of time. You no longer fear failure. You know every failure will serve you. You no longer question your path. You know your purpose is guiding you. Persistence is not glamorous. It is not dramatic. It is quiet, steady, consistent. It is waking up early, working late, staying focused when others drift. It is sacrificing comfort for growth, ease for discipline, applause for legacy. But in time, persistence creates what nothing else can: greatness. So the next time you feel like quitting, remember, you are inches from breakthrough. Do not stop now. Do not surrender. Persist one more day. Take one more step. Speak one more word of faith. Act one more time. Because your victory may be waiting on the other side of that choice. And when you persist long enough, you will look back and realize the truth. Failure never defeated you. Fear never controlled you. Doubt never destroyed you. Because persistence was stronger. And that persistence has made you unstoppable. There's a law in life that cannot be broken. You reap what you sow. Every thought, every word, every action is a seed planted in the garden of your destiny. Most people plant without awareness. They scatter seeds of fear, doubt, procrastination, and excuses. Then they wonder why their lives are filled with scarcity, anxiety, and regret. But Napoleon Hill revealed the truth. If you take control of your planting, if you deliberately sow seeds of faith, persistence, purpose, and discipline, you will inevitably reap a harvest of abundance, confidence, and success. This is why autosuggestion is not a game. It is not a shallow exercise in positive thinking. It is the conscious act of planting seeds in the subconscious mind, the soil that never sleeps. The subconscious accepts everything you give it, and it multiplies those seeds. If you persist in repeating fear, you reap failure. If you persist in repeating faith, you reap victory. The subconscious does not choose, it only serves. The choice is yours. Hill explained that the subconscious is the connecting link between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence. When you fill your subconscious with definiteness of purpose, backed by desire and persistence, you open the channel through which ideas, inspiration, and power flow. That is why many of history's greatest breakthroughs came in flashes of inspiration, moments when the mind was aligned, the subconscious was primed, and the channel to infinite intelligence was open. But here is the danger: drifting. Drifting is the unconscious state of letting external forces plant seeds in your mind. The news, the gossip, the fears of society, the doubts of friends. These are seeds constantly being thrown at you. And if you're not vigilant, they will take root. That is why Hill warned so fiercely against drifting. It is not only wasted potential, it is slavery of the mind. The antidote is definiteness of purpose. When you know what you want, you take control of your thoughts. You filter what enters your subconscious. You guard your mind like a fortress. You become intentional with your words, your images, your affirmations. And over time, you reprogram your inner world. But this reprogramming is not instant. Just as a farmer does not plant today and harvest tomorrow, you must be patient. Persistence is the sunlight. Discipline is the daily watering. Faith is the trust that the harvest will come. If you persist long enough, the subconscious will align with your vision. And once it does, nothing can stop it. Napoleon Hill said, "What the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Most people stop at conceiving. They imagine, they dream, they wish, but they do not persist in believing. Their thoughts are fleeting, scattered, inconsistent. And so their results are fleeting, scattered, inconsistent. But when you persist in conceiving and persist in believing, achievement becomes inevitable. The truth is that your life today is already the result of your past thoughts. Look around you. The relationships, the opportunities, the challenges, the habits, they're the fruit of seeds planted long ago. This means something powerful. If you do not like your current harvest, you can change your planting. You can take control now. You can begin to feed your subconscious with new images, new beliefs, new faith. And over time, your outer world will reflect your inner transformation. But you must act with discipline. Write your purpose down. Repeat it every morning and night. Visualize it as though it is already real. Speak it with emotion until it becomes engraved in your subconscious. Guard your words carefully. Never speak defeat. Never affirm fear. Never declare limitations. Because your subconscious is always listening. And then persist in action. Autosuggestion without action is fantasy. Action without autosuggestion is weak. But when you combine them, faith-filled thought with persistent action, you create a force that nothing can resist. That is the real law of attraction. Thought, faith, persistence, and action working together. This is also why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance, from fear to faith. When you affirm gratitude daily, you impress your subconscious with the belief that you already live in abundance. And because the subconscious aligns with what you believe, it attracts more to be grateful for. Gratitude is autosuggestion wrapped in emotion. And remember, your subconscious cannot tell the difference between what is vividly imagined and what is real. That is why visualization works. That is why affirmations work. That is why persistence in thought matters. If you can see in your mind, feel it in your heart, and persist in acting as though it is true, your subconscious will accept it. And once it accepts it, reality must follow. The world may call this strange. The drifters may call it foolish. But the ones who apply it, the ones who persist, become the proof. They become the stories of transformation, the living examples that faith, purpose, persistence, and the subconscious mind can build empires, heal broken lives, and create legacies. So guard your mind. Plant deliberately. Persist in faith. Persist in discipline. Persist in action. And one day, you will look around and realize this life, this abundance, this freedom was not an accident. It was the harvest of your persistence. The greatest test of persistence is failure. Everyone celebrates success, but no one applauds failure. And yet, failure is the forge where true strength is made. Napoleon Hill taught that failure is never permanent unless you accept it. Every failure carries within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. The problem is that most people quit before they discover that seed. Think about it. The inventors, the pioneers, the leaders we admire, most were not people who never failed. There were people who failed more than others but refused to quit. Edison failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb. Each failure was not an end. It was feedback. Each attempt was not wasted. It was progress. That is persistence. Failure whispers lies. You're not good enough. You'll never succeed. It's time to give up. But persistence answers, I am not finished. This is only the beginning. Failure tests your faith, but persistence strengthens it. Failure presses you down, but persistence makes you rise higher. Failure tries to close the door, but persistence breaks it wide open. Most people give up when they face repeated failure. They assume the struggle is a sign to stop. But in truth, struggle is the evidence you are on the path of growth. Struggle means you are stretching. Struggle means you are alive. Struggle means you are moving towards something bigger than yourself. Without struggle, there is no growth. Without persistence, there is no success. Hill explained that persistence is to character what carbon is to steel. Without persistence, character is brittle, easily broken by disappointment. With persistence, character becomes unbreakable, strengthened by every failure, hardened by every setback, refined by every storm. But how do you build this kind of persistence? It begins with desire, a burning desire that refuses to die, no matter how many times it is tested. Weak desires produce weak persistence. Strong desires produce unstoppable persistence. That is why Hill began Think and Grow Rich with desire. It is the fuel that drives everything else. Next comes faith. Without faith, persistence collapses under pressure. Faith is the anchor that holds you steady when failure shakes you. Faith says, I do not yet see the results, but I know they are coming. Faith keeps your eyes on the vision instead of the obstacles. And when faith is combined with desire, persistence is born. Then comes purpose. Purpose gives meaning to failure. Without purpose, failure feels fatal. With purpose, failure feels like feedback. Purpose transforms pain into power, delay into preparation, struggle into strength. When your purpose is bigger than your pain, you persist through anything. And finally comes discipline. Discipline is persistence in action. Discipline is the daily choice to rise, to act, to move forward even when you feel like quitting. Discipline is how persistence becomes habit, how persistence becomes identity. When you discipline yourself to keep going every day, persistence becomes who you are. The truth is simple. Failure is not your enemy. Quitting is. Failure refines you, but quitting destroys you. Failure teaches you, but quitting silences your growth. Failure strengthens you, but quitting weakens your soul. If you persist, every failure becomes fuel. If you quit, every failure becomes final. And here is the paradox. The more you fail, the closer you are to success, if you persist. Because each failure brings you knowledge, strength, and resilience. Each setback removes what doesn't work and reveals what will. Each defeat prepares you for victory. Failure is not the end. It is the path. Napoleon Hill reminded us that many of life's greatest victories are won just one step beyond defeat. That means the moment you feel most like quitting may be the very moment before your breakthrough. The night is darkest before the dawn. The pressure is greatest before the release. The struggle is hardest before the success. And persistence is the bridge that carries you through. So when failure comes, and it will, do not despair. Do not surrender. Do not drift. Look at failure and declare, "You will not define me. You will refine me. You will not stop me. You will strengthen me. I will persist until I win." Because that is the truth. Persistence always wins. Not immediately, not easily, but inevitably. There is a force that shapes every life more than talent, more than intelligence, more than opportunity. That force is purpose. Without purpose, persistence collapses. Without purpose, faith weakens. Without purpose, decisions waver. But with purpose, you gain a strength that no obstacle can break. Napoleon Hill insisted that definiteness of purpose is the first principle of success. He saw again and again that the men and women who achieved greatness were not necessarily the most gifted. They were the most purposeful. They knew exactly what they wanted, and they refused to let go until it became reality. Purpose is power because it gives meaning to everything. With purpose, sacrifice becomes sacred. With purpose, failure becomes feedback. With purpose, discipline becomes devotion. Purpose transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary persistence. But purpose requires something many people avoid: decision. Decision is the moment you stop drifting and take control of your life. Decision is the act of saying, "This is who I am. This is what I will do. This is the life I will create." Most people never decide. They hesitate, delay, postpone. They wait for the right time, which never comes. And so they drift into lives they never wanted. Hill warned that indecision is the devil's trap. The drifter is controlled by fear, by circumstances, by the opinions of others. But the person who decides with clarity and commits with persistence becomes unstoppable. Because decision ignites faith. Decision directs energy. Decision builds momentum. Think of a ship without a captain. It drifts aimlessly, carried by the winds and currents. But the moment the captain takes the wheel and sets a course, the ship has direction. Your life is the same. Without decision, you drift. With decision, you move. And when you combine decision with purpose, you unlock power. Power is not given, it is created. It comes from alignment. When your thoughts, your faith, your persistence, and your decisions all point toward one clear purpose, you generate power. This power attracts opportunities, inspires others, and fuels you through every challenge. Napoleon Hill described power as the organized and directed application of knowledge. Knowledge alone is potential. Knowledge plus decision becomes action. Knowledge plus persistence becomes mastery. Knowledge plus purpose becomes power. This is why drifting is so deadly. Drifters scatter their energy. They start and stop. They half commit and then withdraw. Their power is diluted. But the purposeful person concentrates their energy. They direct every thought, every action, every word toward their vision. And over time, this concentrated persistence creates unstoppable momentum. But purpose must be more than selfish ambition. Hill discovered that the greatest persistence is born when purpose is tied to service. When your vision is about more than yourself, when it is about lifting others, inspiring others, building something that lasts, your persistence gains a strength that selfish goals can never match. Because selfish desire burns out. Selfless purpose endures. This is the secret of legacy. Legacy is not built in a single achievement. It is built in daily persistence, fueled by purpose greater than yourself. Legacy is created when you live in such a way that your life inspires others long after you are gone. Purpose gives birth to decision. Decision gives birth to persistence. Persistence gives birth to power. And power builds legacy. So ask yourself, what is my purpose? Have I decided to pursue it fully? Have I committed to persist until it is real? Do not wait. Life will not wait for you. Every day of drifting is a day stolen from your destiny. Every hesitation is an opportunity lost. Every delay is a weakening of your own faith. Decide now. Define your purpose. Commit to it with all your heart. Persist until the universe itself bends in your favor. Because once you do, you will discover the truth. You are not powerless. You are not a victim. You are not lost. You are a creator, a visionary, a warrior of purpose. And when you live with purpose, decide with clarity, and persist with discipline, you unlock a power that makes you unstoppable. The law of attraction is one of the most misunderstood concepts in the modern world. For many, it has been reduced to wishful thinking. If I just imagine it, it will appear. But Napoleon Hill revealed something far more profound. He showed us that attraction is not about idle dreaming. It is about disciplined thought, burning desire, unwavering faith, and persistent action. Hill's perspective was clear. Thoughts are things. They carry energy. They have form. They shape your subconscious and influence the circumstances of your life. The dominant thoughts you hold, especially when mixed with emotion and backed by persistence, become magnets. They attract people, opportunities, and events that harmonize with those thoughts. But here is the truth Hill emphasized. You cannot attract what you do not believe. You may say the words, but your subconscious responds to belief, not empty repetition. This is why autosuggestion is essential. It is the tool that transforms words into belief, belief into faith, and faith into action. Attraction is the result of alignment. Your conscious thoughts, your subconscious programming, your emotions, and your actions must align with your vision. If your words declare success, but your thoughts are filled with doubt, you send mixed signals. If your actions contradict your vision, you repel the very thing you seek. Attraction is not simply about wanting, it is about becoming. This is why Hill wrote that definiteness of purpose is the starting point. Without purpose, your thoughts scatter. Without desire, your attraction is weak. Without faith, your subconscious rejects your vision. Without persistence, your actions collapse. But when all of these align, the law of attraction becomes undeniable. Consider how this works in practice. A person with a burning desire to build a business defines their purpose clearly. They write it down. They affirm it daily. They visualize it as already real. They speak with confidence. They act with persistence. They discipline their mind to reject doubt and focus only on faith. Over time, opportunities begin to appear. People who can help cross their path. Ideas flow more freely. Doors open that once seemed closed. This is not coincidence. It is law. But attraction does not mean waiting. Hill warned against drifting and passivity. Attraction works in harmony with action. Thought directs. Faith energizes. Persistence builds. Action executes. Without action, the law of attraction is fantasy. With action, it is transformation. And here is the deeper truth. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. If you live in fear, you attract fear. If you live in doubt, you attract situations that confirm your doubt. But if you live in faith, you attract abundance. If you live in persistence, you attract opportunity. If you live with definiteness of purpose, you attract everything needed to fulfill it. This is why guarding your mind is so critical. Your environment, the voices you listen to, the images you consume, they're all programming your subconscious. If you allow negativity to dominate, you weaken your attraction. If you fill your mind with faith, gratitude, and vision, you strengthen it. Gratitude is one of the strongest forces of attraction. When you live in gratitude, you affirm abundance, and your subconscious accepts it. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to plenty, from fear to faith. And because your subconscious moves toward whatever dominates your focus, gratitude draws more reasons to be grateful. Another key is emotion. Hill emphasized that thoughts mixed with emotion have a much stronger influence on the subconscious than cold logic. When you visualize your vision with passion, when you speak your affirmations with burning desire, when you persist in action with enthusiasm, you magnify your attraction. Your subconscious cannot resist what you feel deeply. And when you reach this state, something extraordinary happens. Intuition awakens. Hill called this the sixth sense, the faculty that connects you to infinite intelligence. In this state, ideas arrive unbidden. Flashes of inspiration strike. Guidance comes seemingly from nowhere. This is the higher dimension of attraction, not just pulling opportunities, but aligning yourself with wisdom greater than your own. The skeptics may mock, the drifters may laugh, but the proof is in the results. Those who live by fear attract fear. Those who live by faith attract abundance. Those who drift attract mediocrity. Those who persist attract destiny. So the question is not whether the law of attraction works. It always works. The real question is, what are you attracting? What thoughts dominate your mind? What emotions fuel your subconscious? What actions prove your persistence? If you do not like what you are attracting, change yourself. Change your thoughts. Change your focus. Change your discipline. Because when you change yourself, your world changes. Hill's version of a law of attraction is not about passively waiting. It is about becoming. Becoming a person of faith. Becoming a person of persistence. Becoming a person of purpose. And once you become, you will inevitably attract the life you were created for. Napoleon Hill's legacy is both inspiring and controversial. His books have changed millions of lives, yet his personal story remains debated. Did he really work directly with Andrew Carnegie and other giants of industry, as he claimed? Some historians doubt it, pointing out missing records and inconsistencies. Others argue it doesn't matter, because the truth of his principles is proven in the lives of those who applied them. What cannot be denied is his impact. Think and Grow Rich remains one of the best-selling books of all time, nearly a century after its publication. The law of success continues to be studied as a foundational blueprint for achievement. Outwitting the Devil, once hidden because of its boldness, now resonates powerfully with a generation seeking freedom from fear and drifting. Yes, Hill's life was messy. He faced failures, critics, financial troubles. But maybe that is why his message connects so deeply, because he was not perfect, yet he persisted. He failed, yet he rose again. He struggled, yet he left behind a body of work that still empowers people today. His life itself became proof of his greatest principle, persistence. And this is the true test of his legacy. Beyond the debates, beyond the controversies, beyond the myths, his words still ignite something in us. They remind us that purpose matters, that faith matters, that persistence matters, that the power to create our destiny lies not in the hands of chance, but in our own minds, our own choices, our own persistence. Hill's story reminds us that greatness is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is about refusing to drift, refusing to surrender, refusing to let fear dictate your future. It is about daring to believe that you were created for more, and then acting daily until that belief becomes reality. So now, the question is not about Napoleon Hill. The question is about you. Will you drift, or will you decide? Will you surrender to fear, or will you rise in faith? Will you quit, or will you persist? Your purpose is waiting. Your destiny is calling. Your future is being written by the choices you make today. And if you choose persistence, if you choose faith, if you choose definiteness of purpose, you will transform your life. Because as Hill taught us, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And now, my friend, it's time for your next step. Back-end index pointing right. If this message has stirred something inside you, if you feel that call for more, then I invite you to join me on this journey. Subscribe to this channel, Napoleon Inspires, and become part of a community dedicated to faith, persistence, and purpose. Every week, you'll find wisdom, inspiration, and powerful teachings to help you rise higher and live the life you were created for. Don't just listen, act. Don't just dream, decide. Don't just wish, persist. Hit that subscribe button now, and let's awaken the unstoppable power within you together.